Alright, hey, we're back again. I'm recording this video because I'm putting the videos together that I recorded about 6 months ago or so, and I realized that some of the information I talked about on the mid motor versus rear motor and 3-gear versus 4-gear was a little bit mixed up and hard to understand. So I'm going to recut this and hopefully get a better understanding so I can actually understand it a little better this time. Basically what we have is we have 4 different configurations we can do. We can do rear motor or mid motor, or we can do 3-gear or 4-gear, and you can have any combination of them. So you can have rear motor, 3-gear, 4-gear, and you can have mid motor, 3-gear or 4-gear. And now the way this thing works, and it took me a little bit to get my mind wrapped around the concept of this when I was building it. It wasn't really until I started kind of digging into it that I really understood it now. But when you're building this, and a lot of questions I see too coming across the RC Tech website is, you know, guys reversing their speed controllers and stuff, and that's not how it works. Basically how it works is the mid motor 4-gear and the rear motor 3-gear, the configuration of, other than the gears in the tranny, but the motor plate goes on the same side of the tranny and the motor hangs off of the same side of the tranny for the, you know, the mid motor 4 and rear motor 3. And same thing vice versa, the rear motor 4 and the mid motor 3, it's built the same way. And what happens is when you have it in the back, the motor's facing one direction, you flip it around, the motor's facing the other direction. So what ends up happening in the end is, whether you're running 3-gear, front or back, the motor's on the same side of the vehicle. Or if you're running 4-gear, front or back, or mid or back, the motor's on the same side. And what that does is it creates the transmission to spin the same way, whether you're in rear or mid. So basically what's happening is the tranny is spinning towards the front of the car, the spur gear is spinning towards the front of the car if you're in 3-gear configuration, front or back. And when you're in 4-gear configuration, the spur's spinning to the back of the car, whether you're mid or rear. And what having that spur gear spin to the back, what it does is it creates more weight transfer from the car to the back of the car when you get on the gas. 3-gear, less weight transfer. So when you look at them as, you know, 4 different ways you configure, the biggest, and this gets a little sticky, but the biggest weight transfer, and it might not be right thinking about it, because I'll say it this way, the more traction to the rear of the car you can have is you can go 4-gear rear motor, because it's going to transfer more weight. Actually might not transfer more because there's more in the back already, but the car's gonna want to squat more because you're spinning the tranny towards the back of the car and you have all that weight back there already with the motor being back there. Then you'd probably be a toss-up between rear motor 3, well, mid motor 4 is still going to transfer more weight, but rear motor 3 has the weight there. So I guess you don't know for sure. And the least one is going to be mid motor 3. So the evolution to this whole process of this mid motor deal that we've come up on the last, I don't know how many years, has been, what first happened is manufacturers made the mid motor and they basically just turned the gearbox around, made it a 3-gear, right? And the problem was they're having a hard time getting them handled, getting them hooked up. So then somebody came out with, hey, what if we stick another idler gear in there and we had the weight transfer go back, and that created, you know, what we got today. For the most part, I would say 9 out of 10 guys, if not 10 out of 10 guys, you know, are running mid-motor, running the 4-gear, because that's what's offered. I don't think you have a choice unless you go with Team Durango. And as of about 2-3 weeks ago, Team Associated has actually for their B5 a 3-gear setup you can buy, which is kind of interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens right now. So when I built this truck, what I was doing a lot of research, and what I came across was I wanted to go mid motor 3-gear, because what the 3-gear does for you is it doesn't transfer as much weight. You statically put the weight where you want it, and it doesn't transfer as much. The problem with a lot of weight transfer is you can have too much, and then you're creating more problems to tune out, and that's what a lot of guys are doing, I believe. You know, I mean, you see a lot of these pros that are running, I mean, they're having trouble not pulling wheelies, and man, if you can't put your power down, what good is it? You know, I don't want to have to detune it as much as I have. You know, I don't get the power down as much as I can, and I'm not as good as these guys. I'm not, you know, nowhere. I could be right. I don't know. Just makes sense to me. And I built the truck. I drove it. I took it to the track a few times. Handles great. The first time I drove it, and most of the time I've driven it, it's been just beating around my backyard, and I got an alley actually out back, and that's about as loose as you can get, right? And that mid-motor 3-gear configuration, I was amazed at how well it handled. And not just how well it handled too, but having the mid-motor was really what I was looking forward to, having the mid-motor with a rear motor. I got an SE10 and RC10 Worlds, everything I've ever basically had electric has always been rear motor. And you don't realize it until you drive a mid-motor, but that mid-motor, I can take that truck and go down my alley and just start fishtailing it, and then you let go of the steering wheel, just let the steering wheel center, stop steering it, and it just corrects itself. It never feels like you're on the edge of spinning out like you do with the rear motor. So that's where, you guys are talking about at the track, really being able to throw it in the corners, keep corner speed up, because you don't have to worry about, the rear motor. You get into a corner, slow down, turn, go. Because if you try to go too fast, you get on the edge, and then what happens is it spins on you, it spins out. So, and going back to the weight transfer, there was a bunch of years ago that we ran RC10 GTs quite a bit. And if any of you ever run one of them, you know how much weight transfer there was on one of those. And they're a mid-motor vehicle. I mean, that gas nitro engine sat in front of the shock tower, and there was so much weight transfer, we actually limited the front suspension to get rid of some of it. And once you got that set right, you got to stop. You stopped the thing from doing this when you got on the gas. It handled really good and really stuck to the track well. And that's so I've walked down that road before about trying to limit weight transfer. So when I built this, that was kind of my plan, and it turned out to be really good. I really like it. I'm going to run it a different way. So I guess I don't know how well it would run a different way. In the 4-gear configuration, I pretty much know for certain I don't want to go rear motor with it. Just because man, it's nice not to be able to, not to have to worry about them spinning out. You really feel like you got a lot more control. I guess tires maybe play a more important role, or you make sure you put it on a scale and make sure you got the right, distribution of weight front to back with it before you even drive it. And once you get to that point, I don't know, I guess it works really good for me. So that was basically what I wanted to talk about. Just to kind of discern between what 3-gear and 4-gear and mid and rear is. So if you have any questions, post them up. Hope you guys like it so far, and I'm going to stop this and get back in the build. Thanks, guys.